about Miss Northern Highlands.
Yeah, so Miss Northern Highlands is my title in the Miss New Jersey, which is part of the Miss America organization. And I am actually competing for Miss New Jersey in 2 weeks. And
ooh, I'm going to bring this up on the screen so people know where to vote for you. Okay, continue.
Each girl has the opportunity to promote what they call a social impact initiative that they really care about. So my social impact is Operation Restoring Free Speech in Higher Education. How fitting. So
yeah, wow.
Yeah, I plan to take my fight for free speech to the Miss New Jersey stage, because what better state to promote this in than New Jersey? We are known for being vocal. We are known for sometimes being politically incorrect, but telling the truth ultimately. And I believe that I can really get my message across to the people of New Jersey and hopefully everyone, hopefully the entire country. But I hope to start, if I do get to win Miss New Jersey, by visiting various colleges across the state and also high schools and maybe even elementary schools to start bringing out the message, restoring the message of academic freedom and free speech in education, because you can't have education without that very first principle, the founding, the first thing under the Constitution. It was the First Amendment for a reason. The founding fathers listed it first for a reason. So that's why we really have to make sure people know why it was the First Amendment.
I agree. And I think a lot of people, or maybe just these people I end up getting in arguments with on Twitter, people don't understand the difference between free speech and like harassment. Like just the other day I was arguing with some guy on Twitter. He was somehow able to like do the mental gymnastics that like, oh, free speech means, oh, so you saying like you can just talk to kids? I'm like, no, like certainly not. Nobody is equating free speech with like harassment or like being a creep online. And it's very frustrating to have to just like go through and explain that to people. Like it ultimately was, I think, created just so we could have differences of opinion on politics and religion, and just so you can speak your mind. It's not about like, oh yeah, this free speech exists so you can be a weirdo to kids online.
Yeah. Oh, of course. When I was getting harassed and when I was getting death threats, students would get angry with me, and they would even try to turn it into some statement. See, Justine, I guess you're against free speech because you don't like getting death threats. And I'm like,
oh my God, what a psycho. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure death threats that's actually illegal. So there's actually a couple of extremes, things you can't do. You can't shout fire in a movie theater. They can't tell people you're going to kill them. That is actually already illegal. So this is the problem. People haven't even read the Constitution. They haven't even read the First Amendment. So they don't even know, and they don't even read our laws. They don't have a civics education in our country. So they don't even know what's legal and what is not, and what is actually free speech. But they think that sometimes they'll say, oh, harassment though means having a different opinion, means raising objections to critical race theory. That's harassment. That's hate speech, and they want that to be banned.
What did Syracuse do, if anything, when you were getting these death threats? How are you getting them? Over social media or over email?
I was getting them over social media, and my professor was getting violent threats through her school email. And the university pulled us in various different meetings with counselors telling us, oh, we're so sorry for you. We're investigating this situation, and we hope you feel
so sorry for you. Yeah.
And they ultimately, I actually asked to follow up on the investigation. They said, oh, we can't give you any details, even though they promised they would give me details before. The FBI actually had to get involved last summer because they were concerned about the university's lack of inaction. And at one point, when I was getting harassed by professors, the administration told me to file a complaint. And they gave me the details to do that. So I filed the complaint. And then months later, after speaking to me in various different meetings, they tell me, oh, You wanted to file a complaint? Well, you didn't file a formal complaint. And there's actually this thing called a formal complaint, which they never told me about.
Oh my God. So trickery, misdirection. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to confuse you. This is like, so when these messages are like that, you know, your professor and like, or your mentor and you got, were they from people you knew?
Most of the harassment and doxing were from people I knew. The death threats were from anonymous accounts, and then the emails to my professor were anonymous as well. But there was also another conservative student who, while I was getting death threats, she was also getting death threats. And students who identified themselves with their names on Twitter said that she should be shot in the head, and that they want all conservatives to, quote, get beaten, but they said beat.
Yeah.
And they would just espouse, and that's what really irked me. The fact that they knew they weren't going to get in trouble for saying this stuff online. So they attached their names to it. Yet they were trying to get my professor, my conservative colleague, and I all expelled from the school for our own views.
It's pretty wild because like you would think with these like these kids, you know, like kids, young adults your age, you know, that they're on top of social media and why they aren't seeing, like, just one example is Chrissy Teigen, like her kind of recent canceling and all the stores kind of like dropping her. Oh, it's my dog. Hi, Muffin. Like just dropping all of her stuff, her cookware, because she was found out to be like this massive bully. She was bullying this like teenage girl, telling her to kill herself. And I'm amazed that like these students, either they're just so bold, like it won't be anonymous. Not that I'm like pro anonymous death threats, they're all terrible, but that they're so bold to have their names attached. They don't care because they feel like, yeah, we're gonna get away with it. We're all together and hating conservatives and Republicans, and like it's like an accepted pastime, and that's just like, that's very upsetting to me.
Yeah, it roots back to entitlement. These students, our generation, they feel entitled because they were told growing up and in college that they have somehow been wronged by this country. And now the government, whether it be the government, their own parents, celebrities, schools, they owe them free things. And they don't have to work for them. They don't have to earn them. They just, deserve. I can't even believe that some of these protesters, actually the entire protest movement on my campus, demanded that as they were illegally occupying the floor of our chancellor's building for a month with their sleeping bags.
How is that allowed? So they just all got their sleeping bags and just like camped out? Was it like a dorm floor, or was it just like a random floor?
It was just a random floor. It started out for 2 weeks in the fall in this new gym, and it was also called a wellness center that was built because of protesters and the same people calling for a building so they could have mental health therapy. They ruined the building by going in the building for 2 weeks with their food and their sleeping bags, and then for a month later in the spring, the chancellor's building for a month. And while they were doing this, they were demanding that the university makes the professors just give them off. Just they don't have to do any work. They don't have to go to class, and they can't get downgraded for that, or otherwise it's racist and it's anti-protest, whatever that means. So wow. At first, for like the first couple of hours this was all happening, the administration did threaten to suspend the students. And then of course the students put their cameras in the administrators' faces and smeared them online. They got a bunch of famous blue check marks on Twitter to back them up.
Oh God. Wow. It's like, yeah, like, of course, all last summer you see riots and protesting encouraged. So it's like, of course, on a smaller level, they're encouraging the students at this school to just not go to class and calling a protest. I mean, I wish I had thought of that. It's kind of a smart idea. Yeah.
I mean, if I would get laughed, people would laugh in my face if I imagine one conservative student, I'm protesting for free speech, occupies a building for a month and demanding free stuff. I mean, they would get booted right out of the school. It's just ridiculous. And it's almost laughable if it didn't get so threatening where people start threatening students.
And that's the thing. It's allowed to happen because it is so many students. It's like, it's a mob mentality. They become bullies. Like if it was just one student, like they'd be like, oh, this is kind of silly, but like they're kind of emboldened by the group. And it sounds like the officials are not being the adults in the situation and standing up and being like, yeah, get your ass back to class. Like go back to your dorm that your parents are shelling out money for you to sleep in. That's very sad. And it's probably very distracting to attend university with all of this going on. It's probably just so distracting. Like, how do you focus on, like, college is hard enough as it is.
Yeah, I couldn't focus. And, I love doing a bunch of extracurricular activities. So it already took me a little while to try to focus in the first place. And then when all these campus protests were going on, that just upped the ante with, good luck to anyone trying to get their work done.
It's insane. I can't believe you. I feel like it's made you a stronger person. It sucks that you have to go through that, but I just feel like your path kind of unfolds for you for a reason, to make you a better person.